Over the past 2 years, DaBaby has blown up and become one of the hottest rappers in all of the US. Not only has he released 3 platinum-selling albums, but he's had a handful of singles reach the top 10, and his very first #1, Rockstar, was crowned 2020 Song of the Summer before being nominated for a Grammy in 2021. But recently, DaBaby has found himself under a microscope for some questionable actions and incendiary comments he let fly while performing at Rolling Loud in Florida. Unprovoked too, might I add.
You didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, any of them deadly transmitted diseases that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks, put a cell phone like that up.
Not only has he managed to upset the entire LGBTQ community and the AIDS community, but he pulled off something of a triple hitter that night by firmly entrenching himself in the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion beef as well. Well, again, that's not even the beginning of his public woes. Back in 2018, DaBaby was involved in the shooting death of a 19-year-old inside of a North Carolina Wal-Mart.
It was a deadly shooting inside a local Walmart. Take a look at this video fed into our newsroom from the scene. Police swarming the store, panicked shoppers everywhere. Frightening moments for dozens of families hearing gunshots while they were shopping.
Betrayal, homophobia, and murder, it's all a part of the DaBaby's dark side of fame. Prior to attempting to throw his entire career under the bus at Rolling Loud this past summer, DaBaby's most infamous dark secret was an incident that transpired in November of 2018 at a North Carolina Walmart. That night, DaBaby was out shopping with his then 1-year-old daughter, her mother, and her mother's 5-year-old son from a previous relationship. According to the rapper, 2 young men approached him and attempted to rob him at gunpoint. DaBaby said that what happened next was purely self-defense and has insisted that he didn't pull the trigger regardless. Within moments, one of his assailants was shot in the gut.
I was in there with my 1-year-old daughter, my 5-year-old little nigga, my baby mama, on some family shit, and he fucked up on me, tried me, whipped out on my whole family. A lot of you owe me an apology, dog.
After police arrived, the victim, Jalen Craig, died on the scene, and DaBaby was arrested. Sticking to his story, DaBaby was only convicted of a misdemeanor for carrying a concealed weapon. He was subsequently handed a suspended 30-day jail sentence and 12 months of unsupervised probation. Now that sounds like a pretty one-sided recollection of events if you ask me, so I did a little bit more digging and discovered the other side of the story from the deceased young man's cousin, who recently took to social media to suggest that things didn't unfold exactly the way DaBaby says they did. In this other version of events, Jalen and his friend were simply at Walmart to pick up some Long Johns. When they caught sight of DaBaby shopping with his family, they were excited to meet him and eventually approached to engage the rapper in conversation. What exactly was said, we don't know, but that's when DaBaby apparently grew agitated and punched Jalen's friend in the face. A fight broke out which Jalen attempted to defuse, but that's when DaBaby apparently pulled out his gun, and in the fight that followed, fired a shot which caught Jalen in the side of his torso and eventually claimed his life. Jalen's cousin goes on to claim that DaBaby has since perpetuated a lie and passed it off as truth by referencing the attempted robbery in his music. Concerning the type of attention this news story brought down on DaBaby's head, he spent the next year or so quiet as a church mouse. Then in late 2019, he was cited in Charlotte for marijuana possession and resisting arrest. DaBaby would later claim that this arrest was illegal and that the North Carolina police were targeting him because they didn't approve of his black excellence. I don't even know what that means. DaBaby would wind up using a similar excuse a few weeks later after getting detained in Miami in connection with a robbery investigation. Police believe that DaBaby had assaulted a concert promoter, robbing them of $80, a credit card, an iPhone, and then dousing them in apple juice after being shorted of his pay. Trouble just keeps following him.
Thank you, sir. Damn, calm down, macho man. Calm your ass down.
After police brought him in for questioning, they discovered that DaBaby had an outstanding warrant on his record from a battery charge in Texas where he apparently assaulted a food stand worker at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. DaBaby would eventually find himself released after only spending 48 hours in prison. Who assaults people that serve them their food? Then only a few months later, during his up-close and personal tour, DaBaby slapped a female fan while exiting a club in Tampa, Florida. And this one was caught on tape. DaBaby would later offer up an explanation for what happened, or at least what he considers an explanation, saying that the fan had the flash of her camera on too bright and that he didn't know it was a female on the other side of the camera. Not that he would have changed things, even if he did. It's pretty wild that he's never seen the flash of a camera before. Like, what are the odds? Following this string of incidents, fans began to perceive DaBaby in something of a new light, and that will continue to be the case once he found himself wrapped up in the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion beef. Not long after Lanez was charged with felony assault for allegedly shooting Megan in the foot, Tory took to social media to tease a collaboration with DaBaby. Why is this such a big deal? Well, prior to this happening, it appeared like DaBaby and Meg were super tight. In fact, the two rappers have collaborated not once but twice on 2019's Cash and 2020's Crybaby. When the news first broke, Meg responded by supporting DaBaby, suggesting that this upcoming collab collab with Lanez was not only old, but not cleared, inferring that Lanez was going to use DaBaby's verse without getting his permission first. Well, when Lanez finally dropped the single titled Scat, it became pretty clear that DaBaby was heavily involved in the making of the track, especially after he showed up in the music video. When it became apparent that DaBaby was more than happy to work with Lanez, Megan eventually changed her feelings, suggesting that DaBaby was telling her one thing in private and then doing something very different in public. I believe they call that hypocrisy. DaBaby would later tweet at Megan saying that he has no bad energy for her, and then proceeded to rub what happened in her face by taking the stage at Rolling Loud, directly following Meg's own performance and showing up with who else but Tory Lanez.
I know who that is. I know who the that is. Let's go. Let's go. Bounce, bounce, bounce.
The duo performed Scat together, and that would have been more than enough to set the internet on fire for weeks with think pieces over just how unthoughtful and crappy a friend DaBaby really is. But then he went and did something much worse. I don't even know how it gets worse, but just strap in. After performing with Lanez, DaBaby carried on with his set before taking a short break to profess some totally random and completely inappropriate remarks that ultimately came across as extremely homophobic.
Fellas,
Lights up.
fellas, if you ain't sucking your dick in the parking lot, put your cell phone like
Let's be real about this.
After openly suggesting that queer men are promiscuous, dirty, and riddled with disease, fans all around the world wondered what the hell just happened to DaBaby. Needless to say, a whole bunch of celebrities have come out since this moment condemning DaBaby for his words. Queer Eye star Jonathan Van Ness, who revealed an HIV-positive diagnosis in 2019, suggested that this kind of misinformation that's killing people struggling with the disease. Even prior collaborators like Dua Lipa were shocked by what DaBaby had said, and beyond unfollowing him from social media, Dua would go on to admit that she doesn't even recognize him any longer after working closely with him on their single Levitating. This in turn sparked comments from the legend Elton John, Dua Lipa's mentor. He let off a series of tweets condemning misinformation and hatred clearly targeted at DaBaby's outburst. When you got Elton John coming out the house, bruh, you got white people saying they don't recognize you? Oh my goodness. After this backlash, DaBaby had basically no choice but to respond in some way. So how did he do it? By firing off a series of Instagram live videos describing what he did as a call to action.
Put your cell phone lights up so I could drop my next song. I wasn't going on no rant. That's called a call to action.
He would later apologize somewhat by tweeting out that he didn't mean to offend the HIV community with his insensitive remarks, but that wasn't enough to stop one of his brand partners, Boohoo Man, from breaking off all ties with him completely, only 1 month after releasing a joint summer collection. And on behalf of all of us, we had no idea. We don't know who Boohoo Man is. Have you heard of Boohoo Man? So will there be more repercussions to follow? Who knows? But DaBaby has already struck back by releasing his newest music video for Giving What It's Supposed to Give, where the video concludes with a message written in rainbow font: "Don't fight hate with hate," followed by "My apologies for being me the same way you want the freedom to be you." Once again, extremely confused. Whether or not DaBaby still has a prolific career this time next year as he does right now, well, that's gonna be something to watch out for. My guess is yes, because there's no such thing as cancel culture. My name is Marlon, and if you learned something from this, look at DaBaby's brush with the dark side of fame. Do you want to see someone else in this series? Then leave us some ideas in the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.